Hey there! If you're watching this, thanks for clicking on it. I'm Peter Dinklage, and I figured it was time to sit down and talk about something that's been rattling around my head for years. Not the glamour stuff, not the red carpets or the dragons, though, yeah, those were fun. No, this is about the day I almost walked away from it all. The day acting felt like a cruel joke, and I was the punchline. I never really shared this in detail before, but maybe it'll help someone out there who's staring at their own rock bottom. So pull up a chair, grab a coffee, and let's dive in. This is going to be raw. No script, just me talking to you like we're old friends. Let me take you back. It's the late 90s, New York City. I'm in my late 20s, pushing 30, and I've been grinding at this acting thing since college. Bennington was this wild, artsy place up in Vermont full of dreamers and misfits like me. I majored in drama, fell in love with the stage. You know, that rush of stepping into someone else's skin, making an audience feel something real. But reality hits hard when you graduate. I moved to the city with big ideas, but the world wasn't exactly rolling out the welcome mat for a guy like me. 4'5" with a chondroplasia dwarfism, if you want the clinical term. It's not a secret, it's who I am. But back then, it felt like a barrier I couldn't scale. The rejection started early. Auditions were brutal. I'd show up script in hand, ready to pour my soul into a role, and the casting directors would look at me like I'd wandered into the wrong room. "Oh, you're short," they'd say. Or worse, they'd try to be polite about it. "Oh, we love your energy, but the part calls for someone taller. Taller," as if height was the measure of talent. I'd nod, smile through gritted teeth, and walk out feeling smaller than I already was. And it wasn't just once or twice, it was every damn time. I'd land bit parts here and there, off, Broadway stuff, experimental theater where they'd cast anyone with a pulse. But paying gigs? Forget it. I was typecast before I even opened my mouth. The elf, the leprechaun, the quirky sidekick, roles that reduced me to a gimmick. To make ends meet, I did what everyone does in this city. I hustled. Data entry jobs, waiting tables when I could, even played in a punk band called Wizzy for a while. We gig at dive bars in the East Village, screaming into mics about frustration and rebellion. Music was my outlet, you know? Yeah. Tom Waits was my god back then. His gravelly voice, those stories of broken dreamers. I'd listen to Regulating Dogs on repeat, thinking, yeah, that's me howling at the moon. But even that wasn't enough to pay the rent. My apartment was this shoebox in Brooklyn, shared with roommates who came and went like bad weather. Leaky ceiling, roaches for company. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the cracks in the plaster, wondering if this was it. Was I fooling myself? My parents back in Jersey, they supported me, but I could hear the worry in their voices. Peter, maybe try teaching or something stable? Stable! God, that word haunted me. Years of that grind wear you down. It's not just the nose, it's the hope that dies a little each time. I'd memorize monologues from Shakespeare, Hamlet, Richard III, roles about outsiders, kings with twisted bodies, and sharper. Now is the winter of our discontent. I'd recite to myself in the mirror, feeling every word. Richard was deformed, scheming, powerful. I saw myself in him, not the villainy, but the defiance. But auditions for those parts? Laughable! Directors wanted tall, brooding leads. So I'd pivot to film, TV pilots that never aired, commercials where I'd be the punchline. One time, I auditioned for a cereal ad dressed as a gnome or something ridiculous. I walked out before they could even say no. That night, I punched a wall, split my knuckle, blood on the floor, tears in my eyes. Why was I doing this to myself? By 98 or so, I'd been at it for 7 years post-college. 7 years of scraping by, of friends getting callbacks while I got pitying glances. My agent, God bless her, she tried, but the calls were few and far between. I'd gained a little traction in indie theater. There was this play, The Killing Act, where I played a hitman, and critics noticed. But notices don't pay bills. I was exhausted, bone tired, physically too. Dwarfism comes with its own set of aches. Surgeries as a kid, the stares on the street, people gawking like I'm a sideshow. It builds up, that constant othering. You start to internalize it. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should pack it up, go back to Jersey, get a desk job, teach drama to high school kids, live a quiet life. And that's where the day comes in. It was a Tuesday in early fall, September, I think. Leaves starting to turn, but the city still humid, sticky. I just bombed London audition for some off-Broadway revival. The role was a lawyer, nothing specifying height, but the director took one look and said, "Interesting." Interesting. Code for not what we envisioned. I mumbled my lines, felt their eyes glazing over, and slunk out. No callback, no surprise. I had $20 in my pocket, rented doing a week, and my fridge was echoing empty. Walked from Midtown down to the subway, but I missed the train story of my life, so I kept walking all the way across the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a long haul. Gives you time to think or brood. The bridge was crowded, tourists snapping photos, joggers, bikes whizzing by. I leaned on the railing halfway across, staring at the East River churning below. The water looked cold, indifferent. I remember thinking, this is it. I'm done. No more auditions, no more humiliation. I'll call my agent tomorrow, tell her I'm out, get a real job, maybe in publishing or something. Words at least. Don't care about your height. My mind raced through the failures, the pilot that tanked, the play where I got cut after rehearsals, the eggless nose stacking up like unpaid bills. I felt heavy, like gravity was pulling extra hard on me that day. Tears welled up. Angry ones, not sad. Why fight a system that doesn't want you? Shakespeare's words echoed, to be or not to be. Hamlet's soliloquy, that eternal question. Was I enduring the slings and arrows, or should I just end the sea of troubles? I stood there for what felt like hours, but probably 20 minutes. The sun was dipping, casting long shadows over the water. People passed by, oblivious. Then, this old guy shuffles up, must have been in his 70s, tweed jacket, cane tapping the pavement. He stops next to me, lights a cigarette, and just looks out. Doesn't say a word at first. I figured he was just resting. But then he turns, squints at me and says, "Rough day, huh? Simple as that." I nodded, not in the mood for chit-chat. But he kept going. "You look like a man carrying the world." I know that look. Saw it in the mirror plenty. I don't know why, but I opened up a bit. Told him about the audition, the years of rejection. Didn't mention the height thing, didn't need to. It was obvious. He listened, puffing on that smoke. It turns out he was a retired actor himself. Bit parts in old Broadway shows. Never made it big. Theater chews you up, he said, but spits you out stronger if you let it. Then he quoted Brecht, Bertolt Brecht, the German playwright. Art is not a mirror held up to reality, but a hammer with which to shape it. I'd studied Brecht in college, that idea of theater as a tool for change, not just reflection. The old man grinned. "You're the hammer, kid, not the nail. Don't let him flame you." It was such a small thing, a stranger's words on a bridge, but it hit me like a freight train. He didn't know me, didn't have to stop, yet there he was, sharing his scars. He told me about his own low point, auditioning for decades, almost quitting, then landing a role that changed everything. "One yes can erase 1,000 no's," he said. Finished his cigarette, tipped his hat, and walked off. "Keep swinging that hammer," he called back. I watched him go, this anonymous sage vanishing into the crowd, and something shifted. Not dramatically, no fireworks, no epiphany choir, but the weight lightened. I crossed the rest of the bridge, got home to my crappy apartment, and instead of packing my scripts away, I pulled out an old one. Read through it, felt that spark again. The next day, my agent called out of the blue. A small indie film, living in oblivion, needed a dwarf actor for a dream. That led to more indies. Then the station agent in 2003, that's when things really turned. Looking back, that day on the bridge was the catalyst. It wasn't magic, it was a reminder that we're all in this mess together. Strangers can be lifelines. And Brecht's words stuck. I'm not just mirroring my struggles, I'm shaping my reality. Theater, art, it's about defiance. Like in punk rock, which I loved, bands like The Clash, screaming against the machine. London Calling was my anthem. Don't wait for permission, make your own noise. The realization came slow, over months. I stopped seeing rejections as personal failures and started viewing them as the industry's blindness. My height. It's part of me, but not all. It gives me a unique lens outside of perspective, empathy for the marginalized, in roles like Tyrion Lannister later on that came through. George R.R. Martin's words, "A mind needs books as a sword needs a whetstone." But for me, it was life sharpening my edge. I remembered my college prof quoting Stanislavski, "Love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art. It's about the craft, not the ego." Transformation wasn't overnight. I kept grinding. More theater, voice work, anything. But that day planted a seed. Persistence isn't blind. It's informed by those low moments. They forge you. By the time Game of Thrones came in 2011, I'd been tempered. Tyrion was me in many ways. Witty, wounded, resilient. Fans say he inspired them. Hell, he inspired me back. So, here's the takeaway. If you're still with me in your lowest moments, when the world feels like it's crushing you, look for the hammers, not the nails. Persistence isn't about ignoring pain. It's about alchemizing it into purpose. Your identity, who you are, flaws and all, is your superpower. Find meaning in the muck. It's there, waiting. A stranger's kindness, a forgotten quote, a quiet reflection. They can reignite you. Don't give up. Swing that hammer. Thanks for listening. Stay strong out there. You good.